As we get started here, I want to give you just kind of overview of how news gets put together, what kind of news sources we have out there, where some job opportunities are, and really a lot of the skills and the tools that you're going to need to acquire as you move forward to become a journalist in the working world. There's a lot of different types of news still out there, and we've certainly seen some consolidation and some changes, but these are the ones that really are still existing and serving the public in terms of news consumption. So we think of the big national dailies, the New York Times, USA Today. The New York Times has really become the world paper. They have editions all over the world. They distribute as a daily newspaper all over the country, all over the world. And then USA Today is, of course, a national newspaper. There are other major metro dailies. These are ones that have been struggling in the recent past, so things like the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Philadelphia Inquirer. These were big city papers who have gone through a pretty significant decline in advertising, and that doesn't mean that there's not job opportunities there, because they are still looking to hire young people who have new skills as they move more into the digital platform. A mid-market daily would be something like the Columbus Dispatch. They do own a lot of news properties across Columbus, including 10 TV, the TV station. They own radio station. They own This Week newspaper. So, as we mentioned, under community weeklies here. So, there's a lot of properties that fall under that kind of Dispatch umbrella, but the Dispatch itself is a mid-market daily. Community Weekly would be something like This Week. There's one reporter who covers a community, and they write on sports, local high school sports. They write on meetings that happen with the local government, community things. Then, of course, your campus paper, The Lantern, which is an unbelievably impressive product and something that I encourage all of you to get heavily involved in as quickly as possible. It is a real-life scenario, a real newspaper functioning, covering, this is a larger town than most reporters ever get to cover. So I really encourage you to be part of that. Then, of course, there's websites. So, every news enterprise has its own website now, from the smallest to the New York Times, which, of course, has apps and all kinds of different platforms by which you can access its news. So, being able to write for the web is something we're going to work on here pretty significantly. We look at aggregators and content creators. Aggregators gather materials from other people and put them all together into one platform. And then there is original content that's created as well. Reddit is something where, people post to that. People will put links up there that they've read. There will be voting that will enable things to move up or down. Gawker is something I encourage you all to check out. There are blogs, and there's blogs that you might not think about. So the Huffington Post is actually a blog. And then, of course, there's individual blogs. A lot of sports blogs are cutting-edge coverage. We've certainly seen a lot of news reporting that's come out of blogs. So I encourage you to check out as many of them as you can. Social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of these are news sources, and they're things that we're going to get familiar with in here. Now, the conventional division of labor in a newsroom, I've kind of outlined for you here, and then this is a pretty old-school-looking newsroom, but they do still look like this depending on where you are, where we have the idea of an editorial department, the advertising department, which is broken out into classified ads, which got decimated by Craigslist, and retail advertising, which are those display ads. Then we have production, which puts the newspapers together. We have a website. We have people who handle circulation. We also, of course, have, under editorial would be photography, people who handle the website, videographers, multimedia people. These are all people putting together the news product. Now, inside the newsroom, for the most part, reporters and editors are divided by beats. So when you see a story that's written by Colin Binkley in the Dispatch, chances are it's an education story because he's on the education beat. If you see a story that's written by a specific person, you can equate it to what area they cover. So start to look when you're looking at the Dispatch and you're looking at the New York Times. We had David Carr visiting last year. He's a media reporter, and that's what he writes on, is different facets of media. So you gain expertise, you get sources get to know you, you get to know them. The advantage of covering a beat is that you become familiar with it and it with you, and stories find you in ways that they wouldn't if you were sort of a one-off reporter. The idea for you as a reporter is you're going to cover your beat. You're going to come up with ideas for stories. You're going to get assigned stories by your editors. You're going to enterprise some stories. So your beat means you're going to go to the police station and see what's going on. You're going to go to government meetings. You're going to visit elected officials, community leaders. Those are the kind of people that you will approach about getting stories. You'll enterprise things. So you'll start to notice that one intersection has a lot of accidents, and you'll start to enterprise about safety in a particular area, or speeding, or whatever it might be. As you drive around your beat or contact people, you're going to start to see stories. So your goal is to identify sources, contact sources, do the information that you need to get research for these stories, interview people, and write things. Editors assign you ideas. That's a big role that they have. They get ideas, they give them to you. Although you really, being on the ground, you're going to have much better access to ideas. They will help you determine what angle your story should take. They're going to edit all your stuff. That's the biggest thing that they do, is they're going to read your stuff. They're going to ask you to make additions and changes and corrections, and they're going to check and make sure that it's factually accurate, and we're all going to learn about how to be editors in here. They approve the copy before it goes anywhere. They assign artwork that goes with your copy. They write headlines. They're involved in designing the pages. They really handle all the stuff that makes news get out to the public. Now the times are changing. Reporters used to just write, and if you could take pictures, you had a job. Now reporters can be editors, they're photographers, they're videographers, they write cut lines and headlines, and they do social media, they do everything. So you need to become that jack of all trades and master of all to a great degree. That doesn't mean you have to be the greatest videographer or the greatest photographer, but you have to be able to do it. And you may have noticed the Chicago Tribune recently fired all of its photographers, got rid of them all, and are now sending out their reporters with cameras. So, the ability to write, the ability to do a multitude of things is what will make you the most employable. These are your basic tools. Now for this class, you are using the iPad. This tool is a self-contained entity for you, and you will do all of your reporting, all of your recording, all of your research. Everything will be done on this iPad. But out in the world, you're going to need to be able to take notes, whether it's with this iPad or with any other tool, and have to figure out how to do that. We'll talk about that extensively in here. We have to be sure that we're accurate and that we're fair, and we know how to take notes, interview people effectively. We're going to learn all that. You're going to have to get really, really comfortable with the computer. Programs like InDesign, Photoshop, Dreamweaver is a web design program. Word, of course. Audacity is a recording program for audio. Final Cut is how we do video production. All of these programs and many more will become imperative to your success. And then you're going to have to get familiar with these tools. So we know about the iPad. And by using it, we're going to have to make sure of certain things, make sure it's charged, make sure we have the apps that we need. You're going to get your iPhone or your smart device may come into play here. Cameras, you're going to need to become mildly proficient, at least in shooting photographs, shooting video, understanding how composite frames get put together, what happens with audio when you shoot with the camera, etc. So these are all pieces that we're going to work on throughout the course of this semester.